Hello, everyone. I'm Keen947, aka Wolfkeen, and welcome to the Wolf Podcast, where we'll be talking about the first episode of Persona 5, the animation. I am thou, and thou art I. Here with me today is.
Hello everyone, I am D. McComas, STM.3000.
Hi, my name is FlOrangey.
Hello, I am Mario Fanboy 15, aka Beyond Nobody.
Oh,
Beyond
you.
nobody.
Oh, that's
Yes,
a good.
yes,
That's.
I have ascended nobody. I am beyond nobody.
Oh, okay,
Oh
you've
my god.
Gotcha.
Well, that's a
The
good way
new
to. That's a good way.
Kingdom Hearts villain confirmed.
Yeah,
Ah! But
it's
I,
the new evolution of it.
but yeah, that's a good way to start things off. But anyways, guys, like I said, welcome to the Wolf Podcast, where we'll be talking about the Persona 5 animation. And well, just to clarify things, first off, wow, I'm even stuttering. Good job, me. Just to clarify things first off, yes, we will be making comparisons to the game itself, to the animation, but we did already set a couple of rules. One being that this will be non-spoiler. We're only going to cover up to the point the animation has, the current animation episode has stopped. So we won't be spoiling any further portions of both the animation or the game. So no worry about that. And
And I should probably also establish everyone in this cast right now has experience with Persona 5 in some way, shape, or form, or even the Persona series in general to some varying degree.
yeah,
Hmm.
and also just to make this very plainly clear, any kinds of any kinds of dang it, I forgot what the word was. I'm horrible right now. Basically, any kind of comparisons we make to the game and the animation are going to be purely done for analytical reasons. We're not doing this to bash the game or deface it because it's not a one-to-one, depiction of the actual game. But we do want to talk
If you want that, just play the game itself.
about some stuff that were maybe changed for the better or for the worse, but we'll get to that once we get to the second point of discussion. For now, we're going to start with our general thoughts about the episode, which, as I said, is called I Am Thou, Thou Art I. But to give a general synopsis about the episode, pretty much, we get to introduce to our main character, who I cannot pronounce his name whatsoever.
I just
Ren
call him Ren.
Amamiya.
I just call him Ren.
Yeah, Ren Amamiya, thank you. And pretty much we get introduced into the idea of the Phantom Thieves, where we see the character get arrested at the very beginning of the episode, but then we flash back to about April 9th, where he first moved to, as it's shown in the anime, Yongen Jaya, and is transferred to a school called Shujin Academy.
Hmm.
Beyond that, pretty much like everyone treats him like a criminal because he has a criminal record for what he did at some point, and then some strange stuff happens later on within the episode, but we'll talk about that within the general thoughts of the episode. But beyond that, yeah, let's get into our general thoughts. I just wanted to give a quick idea and summary of what the episode was, and yeah, go ahead.
All right, so I think I'm first on this list, and might I mention that the episode title of this one, I think, is the exact same title they used in Persona 4 the animation.
I think
I
so. I
believe.
might want. I'll look that up later, but I think it might. Yeah, I think that might be the case.
Yeah, well, then again, I couldn't really imagine like a better title for it, considering on Persona and all that jazz. But okay, general
Hmm.
thoughts on my opinions of the episode. When I first watched it, I thought it was all right. Like I saw the first 5 minutes because that was apparently uploaded onto YouTube, and they replicated the beginning, and I kind of got a general feel on how oh this is oh they're just gonna take out a couple of things and try and fit it within like a 22-minute format in order to actually like be an episode. And when I first watched it, I thought it was all right, but watching it again, I noticed a lot of things that they've taken out, like even more drastic and important things compared to Persona 4, the animation, which, yeah, that did take a lot out, but they still kept like some of the more relevant stuff. But compared to Persona 5, they did take out quite a bit.
Yeah, they did, and I guess we'll get more into that once we start talking about the comparisons of the game and the animation.
Yeah, but overall, it looks pretty good. It still has like pretty solid animation. I think A1 Pictures is taking the helm for this one.
Yes.
Hmm.
And,
Yes.
and so the animation looks pretty great, honestly.
Also, I looked up the episode name for Persona 4 the animation. It's called You're Myself, I'm Yourself, which isn't really that much different from I Am Thou, Thou Art I.
Yeah, it's called the more casual way of doing it. This is the more serious way of doing things.
Yeah, pretty
Mhm.
much.
Mhm.
Pretty much.
And I think I'll go over like more of my stuff that I've noticed because I did watch this episode beforehand. In fact, I think everyone here watched the episode beforehand.
Yeah, we wanted to
Um,
make sure that we were all up to date on this.
so yeah, I'll
Mhm.
go over like more details as soon as we proceed.
Ow.
And then Nelson hurt himself.
Yeah, I hit my foot off the table. Whoops.
We're off
Ouch.
to a great start.
Yeah, we are off to a great start. Anyways, is that all you wanted to talk on, Dean, about the episode? At least in general thoughts? Dean?
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 I think he died.
We're really are off to a great start.
Oh, are we? So I guess in the meantime, we're gonna have to move on to Cole until Dean comes back. So, Cole, you give your general thoughts on the episode.
Okay, sure. So, I watched the episode twice, and I will say, like, whereas it looks like Dean's. Oh, Dean, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. My computer did a funny. I don't
Yeah.
think it liked my opinion.
we were gonna move on to Cole until you came back. But real quick, was there anything else you wanted to add on to your general thoughts?
Oh no, I was done after that. So I think my computer just wanted to silence me. I blame. Yeah,
I blame the shadows.
Yep.
the shadows did it.
All right, so Cole, you're up.
Shadows did it.
All right, so you can continue, Cole.
Okay. So, like, I'm pretty sure everyone else here, I watched the episode twice, and part of me did that because since I have trouble following along with subtitles, I did feel like I missed a couple of points in it, and I turned out to be right. Because of that, my opinion the first time I saw it was a bit more on the negative side, whereas my second thought is my second opinions were more positive. Overall, I did find that I enjoyed it a bit more viewing the second time around. That being said, for me, it feels like I'm less watching the pilot of an anime and more like I'm watching a clip show.
Yeah, that is something that I think we've all talked about at some point where it's mostly because this thing feels like it's on 1.5 times speed. Like it feels like it's moving quicker than it should.
Hmm. And I think like when we get to the comparisons between the portion of the game we're in and the first episode of the anime, I'll be able to delve a little bit more into detail on that. But in order to also just make sure I wasn't going crazy and imagining things, I watched the first episode of the Persona 4 anime as well, and it's like it feels like with the Persona 4 anime they trimmed the fat to get to the point, but here it feels like they chopped off bits of the good for the Persona 5 adaptation.
Yeah, that is something I think we can agree on. It's like Persona 4's animation, the first episode, it's like, well, let's be fair. I think anybody that has played Persona 4 knows that Persona 4 is very long-winded with its intro, like very long-winded.
Oh God, yeah.
And it kind of needed to trim a lot of fat so we can keep things concise and keep things flowing, which I was all right with.
Mm-hmm.
But with Persona 5, as you've said, it feels like they kind of did that and it kind of came out for the worst.
Yeah. To me, it feels like to me, and I said this before we even did started the podcast. It feels like we're looking at a 22-minute episode that should have been a 44-minute one instead.
Yeah, two-parter basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Is there anything else you wanted to add on to on this one, Cole?
Let's see. Anything else that I wanted to add on to? Nothing that I can just say for my general thoughts. There is one thing, and my voice connection seems to be crapping out on me, but can you guys still hear me all right?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
Okay. There were like two things I wanted to talk about, but I think that's more appropriate to the comparisons between the game and the anime as opposed to just my general thoughts. But I will say that when I rewatched it the second time around, I did think that the episode was very well animated. I did like how it looked. I do like the general look and presentation. It just feels like the content is lacking.
Yeah, it really does. Like, it does feel really close to how the. Well, I really can't. Well, basically, just to say, it really does look good in the animation style. Very close to how the game looks. And I know that should be safe for the second part, but that's more of a quick kind of glance off kind of thing to say.
Forward to when they actually like do battles and all the fancy schmancy stuff that made Persona 4 the animation look appealing.
Yeah, exactly. So. Oh, and we didn't. Oh, yeah, and Dean, did you even say what you like? Your opinion on the episode. Like, did you like it? Did you hate it? Yada yada.
Well, I said it was all right, like after my initial viewing, and I still am within that tier. It's just a little slightly negative compared to how I felt the first time around. I have a lower opinion of it, but I still on the range of saying that it's just all right.
All right, and Cole, you're pretty much in the positive range on this one.
Yeah, I'm on the positive side of average. Like, I guess where it's like, I guess where it's like if Dean's thinking of four, I'm thinking of five or six.
Ah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
All right, that's fair enough. All right then. So I think we can move to Zachary now. So Zachary, what is your general opinions on the episode?
The
Okay.
newbie.
Hmm?
The newbie.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. I might as well get this out of the way. I am a new fan when it comes to the Persona series.
Right,
Since
that's right. Persona 5 is the only game you've played, whereas the rest of us have played at least three through five.
Yeah.
yeah. So when you're talking about Persona 3 and Persona 4, it just kind of kind of goes over my head a little bit.
Whoop. Just that one GIF of Superman trying to catch the joke.
Yeah. And heck, the only reason I really got into Persona 5 is because I watched Wolfkeen slash Nelson over here played it. And I thought it looked really good, but enough about the game. The actual animation, um, for first time I watched it, I actually did kind of liked it, even albeit a bit rushed. But after talking with these guys over here and watching it a second time, yeah, there was let's say holes some holes in the some holes as it were in like plots. Uh, it's visually nice, and I do love that ending credit song, even if I can't understand what the hell is she saying.
Consequence of being a fan of Persona's music, just don't try to understand the lyrics. The
Yeah.
lyrics are just
It-
part of the music.
Yeah.
It makes no
I think the
sense if you
composer
try and.
confirmed that.
Uh-huh.
Or be like one of those people and just add your own words. Burn my bread.
Burn my bread. But yes, burn your bread. Don't even make it toast. Just set it on fire.
Not. Don't even make it buttered toast.
No,
Okay.
No,
All right.
it's charcoal.
All right, let's get back on this. Zachary, what were you saying?
Um. Yeah. Yeah. I was saying. Oh yeah. Any music is nice. Um. I. I'm actually trying to. Uh. Yeah. I am a bit more critical of it now. I mean, it's. I guess it's all right. Uh. But I don't know. I wasn't really the biggest fan of it. It's kind of all right, and well, I don't know. Just general thoughts. It's definitely. I definitely noticed the more rushed nature of it when I watched it the second time.
Like you see the cracks in the seams, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, I kind of.
yeah. First time watching it, I could definitely tell it was like rushed. But second time I watched it, I could definitely tell it was rushed.
Well, it's like you could. No, it's like you definitely you was able to tell, but then you watch it again. It's like, yep, 100%. I know for sure this is rushed.
Yep.
Mhm.
And also before we started the podcast, Nelson brought this up. I agree with this. I'm sure Cole will agree with this as well. So some of the text, the Japanese text, when the text actually, when the English text actually appears on screen for what the Japanese text is translating, you only have like a half a second to like read it. It's like
Yes.
fast.
Oh,
Yeah.
I brought that up like literally when the main character looked at that bulletin in the train, it's up for like half a second, and it's talking about this guy named Akechi on the freaking phone, and then another moment they had this was at Shujin where they showed off Shujin, and it doesn't even let you finish reading it. It just cuts straight to the freaking principal's office.
You guys
Yeah,
should clearly get better. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that actually is what led to some of my confusion during let's see. Yeah, I can talk about it during the interrogation portion because I couldn't follow the subtitle very well the first time, so I was confused as to why Ren was just, in my perspective at that point, randomly giving the cop his name. And then I reread it, and it's like, oh, it's because of that's why. Okay.
Yeah, and this is where I'm funny enough. This is where I generally notice the rush nature to him because because everyone's like talking so fast, it definitely has that rush feeling to it.
Yeah, it feels like like they don't slow down, unfortunately, and that's. I guess this is a good chance for me to shift over and explain my thoughts about the episode. This,
Now, so one more thing I just wanted to say.
yeah,
I
shoot.
didn't also I didn't notice my first viewing, but I definitely noticed this is my second viewing, which is like, huh, Ren has a Sony phone.
Yeah, I noticed that
Oh,
as
yeah.
well. Actually, like he has a.
That he can magically hold backwards.
Yeah, I noticed that too. It's like the way that he's holding it looks so uncomfortable. I'm trying to do it right now, and it's really hurting my freaking wrist.
I need to look
Maybe.
up how he held the phone. I need to look that. I need to look that up real quick.
Oh, it's an animation goof. I bet it is.
It
This is
has.
the part where I want to say maybe he's double jointed.
Yeah.
Wait. When did that happen in the episode? Because I'm actually looking at the episode right now because I want to see it.
It's when he first, you know, when he second time he sees the metaverse app when he's just like laying down on his bed.
Oh, I want to see this. Like I've already. I want to see this right quick because I feel like this is something I need to look at. Oh,
When you're editing, show the pic.
yeah,
Like,
I will. Okay, so I see him grabbing the phone. Oh my god, that
Yeah.
looks so bad. Like okay, I'm actually holding the phone like that right now, and that looks so like ow, that actually hurts.
and then the animation score dropped 10 points just now.
And then he just folds it back on his body, and it just goes back into like a normal. Oh my god,
That's so unnatural.
that is really unnatural. Holy crap! I know that's probably a nip. That's super a nitpick, but still, holy crap.
It's a
Is this the
nitpick,
part
but it's
where I also
noticeable.
bring up? Is this the part where I can also comment on Ren's spontaneously foggy glasses of angst in the car?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
know.
They've
What,
been perfectly clear for the rest of the episode.
yeah, what was even the point of that?
I don't know. His glasses always seemed a little shiny when we like during the game, or at least it always like covered his eyes generally. I didn't think it would happen in the freaking car though.
I know, right? And
Yeah, it's jarring to me because during the animation, and this is actually something I really like, they handled the way you can see his eyes through his glasses really well.
Mm-hmm.
And as someone who wears glasses, that's no small feat.
yeah,
Suddenly make it so them all like it's like that lost the translucency in between transitions.
all right.
Oh man, we just got off a big phone tangent.
Yeah, we did, and I still need to give my thoughts before we start making the comparisons to the game.
I had to go on my glasses rant.
Oh, don't worry about it. I'll be quick on mine since a lot of you already said a lot of what I wanted to say. Like Zachary talking about the like how it's like you don't get enough time to talk about like to read the text and how yeah exactly this animation is super rushed. Like when I got out of watching it the first time, I was not very impressed with it, unfortunately. And after watching it a second time, my opinion only got worse. I don't hate the episode. If I was to rate it on my rating scale, this is meh to borderline bad, actually. I would say it's actually borderline bad. And that's mainly because, as we've said, a lot of dialogue and otherwise is either being rushed or a lot of things were removed. I think the one scene that I kind of don't mind that they changed, which we'll talk about in like when we talk about the comparisons to the game and the animation, is the way the main character is caught during the beginning portions of the animation, and some of the interrogation stuff. I actually kind of like a little bit of it a little more compared to the like to the game itself. But that's, like I said, I'll get more into that why that is.
Oh yeah, because another thing I noticed on my second viewing, when we get to like the flashback on how he got arrested, you actually see blood on the guy's face. I was just like, oh, I didn't notice that before.
Yeah, like you actually see the main character get bruised up like pretty badly too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had scuffs on him like during the interrogation portions, and you do see that in the beginning as well, but it's not as bloody as it is like in the actual anime.
Yeah. Oh man, we're talking about
Someone had a lot of
comparisons
fun
again.
roughing him up there.
But just to give my general thoughts real quick, I pretty much agree with what we've been all saying. I feel like my own personal gripe is that I'm worried about if they continue with this rushed format. It makes me worried that they might try to rush out other episodes as well, and that makes me worried for later portions. But we'll get to those when we get to those. All I can say is this, for me, this wasn't a good first impression of the animation. I just hope that they slow it down a little and let us enjoy the world itself, because that's, as an editor, it angers me how fast the editing is. It's so fast that it doesn't give me enough time to enjoy the scenery, like enjoy like the moment. It just feels like it's like, hurry up, grandpa, keep it going, like just like
Yeah,
that.
you mean like how it quickly, does the flashback to, goes from like the present day to like the interrogation scene.
Well, that one I didn't mind too much because it kind of made sense for the time frame. But what I'm trying to say is, it just felt like the editing that it was done, okay, the Walking Young and Jaya was fine, but I just didn't. Sorry about that. I didn't like how some of the stuff was edited, like how quick it was, and how we barely got to see environments.
I think the biggest example of this is Ren actually being at Shujin Academy.
Yeah, it's like we see the board outside, then we immediately cut to the principal's office, and then we cut to these guys almost within the span of a second and a half. That is way too fast editing.
Hmm.
I mean, like you gotta setup is important, and scene setup is also just important, and it really feels like that went out the window in this episode in a lot of ways, and that makes me sad. But yeah, this is kind of why, like, as an editor, I can notice a lot of these cracks, and even I end up saying there are ways to slow this down or otherwise. But I'm not gonna say I know how to edit better than a professional. But me being like a freelancer that knows what he's doing for the most part, I could see a few of these cracks. But anyways, I
Yeah,
think.
I
Sorry, go
get.
ahead.
I said, yeah, I getcha.
But anyways, I think we're done giving our general thoughts about the episode itself. Now it's time to get a little more interesting, and that's basically talking about the comparisons between this episode and the portion of the game that basically it stops at. So,
Oh, this should be really fun.
so to
Oh
put it,
boy.
Okay.
so let me put this very simply. The episode pretty much ends at at basically when the main character awakens to his persona. So we will only be talking about comparisons up to that point in the game to when the main character awakens to his persona. Everything after that is we're not allowed to talk about until the next episode, wherever that ends. So, anyways, who wants to start this one off?
Well, let's start with what I noticed was the most obvious change. Okay, so in the anime and in the game, we get the beginning area where they're leaving the casino, and then they find out that they were in a trap. The biggest change that I noticed was that it immediately cuts to the interrogation in the anime, but in the game, uh, I'm sorry, I'm probably gonna even though his name is Ren, I'm probably gonna accidentally call him Akira more than a few times because that's the name that's in my soul. But the main protagonist is told, "You were sold out." This is not in the anime.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest important things that I'm actually very unhappy that they removed, because I guess in a game standpoint it makes sense, because as I remember watching from a German spy, when he heard that line when he first made it to that portion in the beginning of the game, he immediately said that now he can't trust any of his teammates. Like the game, like to him, the game basically made him distrustful of everyone around him, which maybe that was the game's intent, but I feel like people will handle that kind of a line differently depending on who you are.
Hmm.
I'm guessing that it's more like the intrigue out of it because it's like, yeah, when I first played through the game, it's like I was just immediately told, oh yeah, your buddy sold you out, and I'm like, wait, I had a buddy that sold me out, and I guess throughout the story, it's just like you always because that's the kind of thing that you just need to keep in the back of your head. There's at least one person here that you shouldn't trust, but for an anime and a narrative sense, it should be something that should be kind of established, like, behind the scenes, especially if it might become relevant later. But for them to not have that in, like, because the anime is purely story driven, that means that, you got to keep guessing, keep up the drama and all that. I
From
guess
a
their thought,
writing stand, sorry, go ahead.
I guess through their writing thought process, it's like it would be too soon to establish this now because remember in Persona 5 you spending like I don't know 60 freaking hours until you get to that point or something, while in an anime it might be in like the next couple of episodes or something.
Around that, yeah, but Cole, you were about to say something from a writing standpoint?
From a writing standpoint, I find that it's very odd that they moved the line because the entire anime and just like the game, because the game and to an extent the anime is going to basically be a giant whole episode flashback. The line
Mm-hmm.
is there in order to establish the intrigue of how you got to point B when you were only at point A. Removing that line sort of removes, at least in my opinion, some of that mystery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
so you're wondering how I got to this situation. Well, let me take you back like a couple months.
yeah, exactly. And that's one thing that I like. And here's the thing, this could have been easily fixed with one way, and that's literally acknowledge it in the interrogation when Ren is first being like beat down by these guys. You didn't have to have it happen at the same time as the game, but I wish they could have made like, you know how like they added that line of like, oh, do you want us to hurt your buddies as well? And I'm like, that could have been easily shifted to a like you were sold out kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That line could have been shifted, and it would have like kept the impact of things, and even maybe like sent like a look of shock to Ren.
Yeah, I because I found that misinclusion just very odd. I mean, there were like a big handful of changes that were made, like both from transitioning into the anime, and for some of them, I don't know how to feel, but I know for certain that this one just was the oddest misinclusion, just because, well, it definitely makes you want to think about some things before you actually like proceed further. Maybe there is someone that you really shouldn't trust.
And it's probably the most baffling change in the episode.
It really is, and I know some people may say this is a spoiler, but no, this was established at the very beginning of the game, like not even first 10 minutes, like first three. Like, and I wish I was joking on that one, but no, it's established within the first 3 minutes, and you pretty much spend the entire game afterwards trying to figure out who it was that really set you up, and that's
Mm-hmm.
good. But and
Yeah,
that it's like it's a good way of handling things, but it being gone is like really weird.
yeah, because the way Persona 5 sets up, it's not the fact that there's a traitor that's set up to be the plot twist. It's finding out who the traitor is that's the plot twist.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Are there any other changes you wanted to talk about, Cole?
Oh,
What?
Yeah, there was, and I think it's probably the one and you guys are also going to know this one too. The the replacement of the girls talking. So on the train in the game, these girls are talking about something going on in the city known as a mental shutdown. However, this is actually not in the anime either. Instead, they're actually talking about another character who will appear later on.
Yeah, on a Sony phone on YouTube. I can't believe I was able to recognize that.
I I kind of recognized it as well, but I think this is also another thing that we can also note. Cole was talking about the mental shutdowns, and I think I talked to you about this, Zachary.
Yeah.
Another thing they didn't mention is we all like they do show the train accident that happens in the episode, but there's one massive like thing that they removed, as well as never even mentioned, and that's the SIU.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're right.
the SIU director actually does call Sai on her phone in the interrogation, before she actually goes and interrogates him. But you wouldn't know who that is.
Yeah, exactly. And in the game, like we hear the guy's voice, but then we hear it again in the game when he's talking to Sai after the train accident happens. So we at least know who he is. In the animation, however, yeah, you don't know who he is, and hell, you don't even know who Sai is. It's never acknowledged that she's with the SIU, and it's never acknowledged that she's with the public prosecutor's office.
Yeah, and they don't even properly introduce, our little golden boy that appears later on.
Yeah, and that's really like a massive issue. Like,
I do have to say one thing I think that was an improvement in the anime was the fact that when Sai, what's her name, Sai, or am I supposed to say her name or do I not say her name?
It, just go with it. I mean, they introduce herself in the game, so might as well. I
Okay.
think they say her
Okay,
name.
is that the one thing I think that I like that the anime did more than the game was the fact that gave Sai the phone that her boss called her on instead of it being, oh, we got a call from our boss, and then her boss just called the phone.
Oh.
yeah, it's very weird, and there are just a lot of comparisons we can make to the game when it comes to differences and otherwise. I think one change, though. Yeah, go ahead, Zachary. What do you want to say?
Well. As I speak of, the interrogation, one thing that's definitely different. That's definitely different from the game is that Kamoshida is definitely introduced differently.
Yeah, he is. In
And
the
for the worse, in my opinion.
Yeah, because in the game, this goes on to another point I wanted to bring up before. Like, it actually connects to what Zachary's talking about. But another thing that they kind of changed, and I really did not like this, is the reservation towards the main character. It's like in the game itself, you could tell nobody wanted anything to do with this criminal who's on probation that probably is a wild child and yada yada yada. You saw it with Sojiro, you saw it with the principal, you saw it with Kawakami, you saw it with Kamoshida, but here in the animation we barely get a hint of this. I mean, they tell him, oh, if he messes up then you're done for, but that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
Yes.
have very mixed feelings change, to be honest.
Yeah, and Sojiro shows a very little of that in the anime as well.
He does.
Which is weird because when I replayed Persona 5, after beating the game, then just starting over, like doing a new game plus, I compared how he was then and then like back into the beginning, and he was way more like
So
what's the term
Not
for
really
that?
hostile, but very apprehensive towards the main character.
Yeah, apprehensive. Like you can feel it in his voice. Yeah, he smiles a couple of times. He's like, "I'm Shojiro Sakura," something like that. But after that, you can actually feel like the tone and how he's just like, I have to take care of this kid. Nah, whatever. I'm just gonna put him in the roof and we'll see how this happens for a year. And you don't really get much of that in the anime. And yeah, you mostly see that when you actually, go to fuck the school. But when before that, it's that was probably the wrong term to use, but whatever. But
School.
there were more people that were against Ren at the beginning of, like, even in this portion of the game, especially your best friend in the future, he would be like going at you in the game, and like in here, he's just like, "Oh, hey, what's up?"
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the things, like, Sojiro, he had a lot of apprehensive lines towards you. Hell, even in the car, not in the animation, but in the game, where the traffic's not moving, he literally deflects this anger at you for no reason. Literally saying, you're taking the
Mm-hmm.
train starting tomorrow. And it's like, what did you do? It's like,
And well, then again, you know what you did. But-
exactly. It's like your mere presence got him. But then again, he does like. There's the thing. It's like Sojiro does show some degree of care for the character, which again, that's also missing in the animation because, he doesn't ask the main character in the car like in the game if like what does he think about the school? Does he think he'll be all right with it? And as well, on the day that he does go to the school, Sojiro offers him breakfast. Like he didn't even have to. He literally says, "Here, have something to eat."
yeah, and he doesn't even. They don't even show the scene in where he actually does worry. He's like, "Oh wait, the kid bring the umbrella."
Yeah, exactly. It's like Sojiro is very much against the main character because of his criminal record, but at the same time, he can't help but wonder about him, mainly on a very basic level, though.
This is why I feel mixed about this change because it almost seems as though them having grow much more warmed up to the main character is their attempt to make up for the fact that they ended up cutting out so much stuff that could clue in that he, despite being a jerk, still kind of cares.
Exactly. It's like here, it just comes off that he's trying to be detached. In fact, it comes off as everyone trying to be detached.
Yeah, and that's also because if I'm talking about like my own opinion on this whole matter, I kind of am against it because it's the thing is about like the whole beginning of Persona 5, like even before you enter the school, you have to feel like you basically don't belong here. Like
Mm-hmm.
everything, like every culmination of how the beginning is handled is shown that you don't belong here. You're on probation, you committed a crime before, no one likes you, you're in a town that basically you have no experience in. And the episode doesn't really take the time to kind of establish this. This just kind of feels like, oh, it's just a normal day. I'm
Yeah,
just in
it's
the
like
city now.
yeah, within the first hour of playing Persona 5, you just can't help but be like, "Holy shit, do I feel bad for this guy?" It's like all he did was do what he feel was right, and he's being like treated like such freaking crap. It's
Yeah, it's that's the biggest difference that I feel. The tone of the episode.
Yeah, here I don't get that impression, and they do show at one point in the episode that he is kind of getting annoyed with the label, but again, it kind of comes off as a unreasonable kind of thing. Like, yeah, people are treating him poorly, but not to to a really bad extent. In the game,
the only time I see him just kind of angry is when he's like clenching his fists in like Sojiro's car.
and just
Oh, with
and
the foggy glasses of angst.
Yeah.
yeah, and then just saying, like okay, just like to himself, like you could tell that he's holding emotions back. Like I do like that scene because it's an indication that the character is holding back a lot of emotion.
Hmm.
And can we talk about Ren's portrayal in this episode? Like,
Hmm,
is that a good talking point for this? Because,
I feel like that would have been better off with general points because I don't know, there really isn't much of a comparison compared to the game because in the game his characteristic really is like someone who someone who really don't know, like can't really say much in the situation and can only really follow orders that's given to him.
He doesn't say much, but when he does say something, he doesn't take no for an answer.
I think we should probably just bring it up though, just to get the elephant out of the room.
Yeah, go for it.
Dean?
I thought that you were going to say something about.
No, go
You
for
were
it,
the one
Dean.
writing the
No,
story.
you, because you started with it.
Okay, okay, the thing is about Ren is that I know that the protagonist, he was a silent protagonist in the game and all that. But the thing is about, like, I know it's gonna kind of a weird thing to compare it with, like, the other animations that happen, but with something like Persona 3, the animation, and Persona 4, you can kind of get a feel on what kind of character that this person is going to be. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
can see that Makoto has been through a lot of shit, and you can see through you that he's basically like the everyman. With Ren, whatever
Akira.
his name,
Here,
Vincent.
Akira
I
Toriyama.
um I na- I named the guy Vincent in my playthrough, and he looks like such a dead ringer for him. But anyways,
Hell,
you
he
can
even runs
kind
like
of
him.
yeah, he does. You can kind of get the feeling that he's basically a kid that is being mistreated, and has a strong sense of justice. And you kind of get that in the game. Just I don't think as much as you can possibly had it. I think the whole sense of justice thing happened in like the end, but not really much else in between. In fact, the one other misinclusion they didn't have is a flashback to what got him incarcerated in the first place.
Even though we don't get to see it fully to its end, but we do see a portion of it at one point. In like when do we see that? When do we see that? I do remember that at one point we actually see this. No, it's on the train. It's on the train, I believe,
Yeah, it's on the train.
where he
Yeah.
flashes back to that very moment where like some guy was like forcing himself onto a woman and he stepped in only for the guy to trip and fall over hurting himself and then sued him, as Sojiro explains literally in the game not long after. In the animation they barely show what happens. Like they
Yeah,
show
yeah,
I also
the only thing they
found it
show
very
is
hard to look at because it was so bright.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, exactly, but
the only thing they show is that and a brief trial scene.
that is an inclusion I like though, because
Yeah, that's an inclusion I like.
I want to
Yeah.
see where that leads to, because like the main character says something but we don't know what it is.
Hmm.
It's probably gonna like my guess because they didn't show the entire flashback because there was also in the game a flashback before he goes to sleep and dejectedly he gets a flashback for it like him in his hometown like running up to that what got him arrested in the first place. But what I think they're gonna do is that probably in a future episode they're gonna show like the scene in full.
Yeah,
But
probably. Yeah, they
Mhm.
probably will, and we can't really get into details on that one because that's a later portion. So
yeah,
that we're gonna have
there's a
to.
lot that goes into that flashback.
Yeah, there are a lot of differences between the game and the animation, unfortunately, because I feel like a lot of the change. I think we can all agree, a lot of the changes they made compared to the game, a lot of them were for the worst, while others, very small bits of it, like Kawakami dropping a flyer to a maid service, which
Mhm.
yeah, that will play a role later. We just can't say when. And as well
Hmm.
Mhm.
as again seeing the trial scene, like Zachary brought up,
Hmm.
like there's small snippets of cool little stuff that they added, and but it just isn't enough compared to the stuff that they removed that was almost essential. Oh,
Yeah.
There is
not
one tiny thing that I did like. Well, it is that, and well, when it involves Ryuji a little bit, and I kind of don't really like a bit on how, like, I'm with Dean on that I don't like completely how they changed Ryuji's attitude towards the main character, but I did like the minute change in wording to when Ryuji actually talks to him. Rather than saying, "Oh, you're a transfer student," he says, "Oh, you're the transfer student, so you're that guy." It really does a good job of foreshadowing exactly what Ren is going to end up facing when he finally gets to school.
yeah, because it means that at that point, yeah, because it means at that point, like there's something that he knows something already. At least it gives that kind of
Mm-hmm.
indication. But anyways,
Also,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't notice.
speaking of comparisons and and that scene, there's a few things I noticed. One, when I was watching it a second time, I was like, "Holy crap, Ren is really tall compared to On."
oh boy,
Oh yeah.
we need to
They
move.
also added a scene in where On actually picks up like a sakura petal off of his
Oh,
hair, which I thought
yeah,
was actually kind of nice.
It's the other thing I noticed. In the anime, is she actually like says a few words to Ren before she takes off.
Yeah, and that is a nice little change. It makes that one scene in the game way less creepy because it was just like Ren staring at her, and it's like, okay, this is awkward. In the
Socially awkward country boy staring at a beautiful half white chick.
And then and then we have like the animation where we actually get a genuine interaction between Ren and An.
Yep.
Yeah, I know her name hasn't been introduced yet, but we are gonna hear it in the next episode. So sue me.
Unless we
Might as
want to
well.
say blonde chick that wore a hoodie that shouldn't contain her whole big freaking hair.
It,
Sorry about that. My internet decided to die, but we're going to be moving on to the next topic. There's just two more things we want to cover real quick, and that is, well, yeah, say it.
oh, me?
Yeah, go ahead. You want to bring it up?
Okay. Okay. The way Ren enters the Velvet Room for the first time, is different, but I actually kind of like it.
Yeah, it's a different change because in the game he just deletes the app off his phone, but in this, it's like the app kind of just like hypnotizes him to sleep almost, and then he just. I like the seamless transition though, the seamless transition from the real world to the Velvet Room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was
Which is relatively similar in how, I guess, how the transitions work. But then again, that might be a spoiler. I'm not sure.
might be best to keep to ourselves for now.
Yeah. I'll keep that to myself.
Also, the nav doesn't. At least for now, the nav doesn't talk yet.
No, it doesn't.
Sword?
But I did like how we had those close-up scenes of it finding those words.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah, but the words of like the different words that Ryuji or even the main character said, which that was pretty cool. Though the other thing that another thing that we can all agree on is the Persona Awakening for the main character is freaking terrible.
Oh yeah.
It's
I
like
hated it. It was bad.
yeah, it's like in game, the character rips off the mask and then the Persona's energy almost like embodies him to the point that it transforms him. Here, it's almost like Danny Phantom. Like literally, it's like Red is going ghost.
He's a phantom. Oh, he's an actual
Always
phantom thief.
Because they do the Phantom Thieves.
Yo, Red,
Shit. Now I need to play the game and just call him Danny Fenton.
oh my god. Dude, I'm sorry, but someone needs to do a Danny Phantom remix on just the main character transforming with his persona and then clip that with footage from later portions of the animation. I feel like that needs to be done.
I know what I'm entering at my contest.
Oh, vey. But anyways, I think we're done. I think we're done with the comparisons to the game.
Well, just one quick thing I want to mention. I probably should have mentioned this in general thoughts, but so far there's no music remixes yet, which I was kind of expecting. I think they're saying that for the palaces themselves.
Probably for later portions of the animation they are, but we'll just have to wait and see. But anyways,
You do listen to Under the Mask. Wait, was it?
Beneath the Mask, but it's
Yeah,
a very
Beneath the
condensed
Mask.
version.
It's the unlyric version. You hear that like while he's traveling through Yongan-Jaya, but that.
No, you hear other music too that's used in the game, and otherwise, I can tell you that right now. But what
Yeah.
what Zachary's
The
talking about?
chase scene.
Yeah, what Zachary's talking about is that there's no remix music. So,
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
but yeah, let's move on to the final portion of this because yeah, we took a long time talking about comparisons and such.
Get used to this, people.
Well, it's the real meat and
Less
potatoes.
picky.
Yeah, that's
What's the real meat and potatoes of this?
yeah, that's true. But all right, so now we move on to the final topic, which is basically, do we think this was a good episode for Persona fans, and do we think this was a good episode for general watchers?
Okay, general watchers, big fat no.
Why do you say that?
I feel as though it doesn't really. I feel as though if a non Persona fan watches this, they are going to be lost beyond all belief.
Yeah, and like, regardless of what we think about the changes or otherwise between the game and the animation, it really doesn't do much in setting up a lot of this stuff. Like, a lot of this stuff is left a mystery. Like, again, going back, the fact that they never acknowledged like the idea of a traitor, the fact that the main character transferred, but we really don't learn too much about what happened on that one. It's like there's so much information that hasn't been given to us yet, and unfortunately, that's very basic information that at least should have been given to us at this point.
Mhm.
It's like in hell, as just said earlier, Ren's character hasn't exactly been fully established either.
Ren has a character?
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I couldn't
thought it
help
was-
myself.
The only hint of character, the only hint of character I give from is actually from the very beginning of the episode where he's being cocky and stuff.
Yeah, when he's before the interrogation, but that's literally the only thing we see.
Oh
Even
right,
that's
all right,
subdued.
oh right, and that's the other difference. That's the other difference. They take out the smoke bombs in the anime, unlike in the game.
Yeah, that is another difference. And I was gonna say that real quick, but I like that a lot more because there's no way he'd be able to get away from that.
Yeah.
There's no way he'd be able to get away from it. In the game, quite honestly, there should have been more than like a dozen ways he could have got away in that situation. Besides climbing a fire escape and then getting conked in the face back down to a mosh pit of cops.
Yeah, that was actually kind of a bad idea. With the fire escape, that was a bad idea for him to do.
But that's what I'm saying. Like the fact that the cops came in with a bunch of gas grenades and otherwise, that made a lot more sense. But anyways, we went off topic. So yeah,
get used to this, people.
so yeah, you think this wouldn't be a good episode for casual fans, like people like casual watchers, like people that don't have a connection to the Persona series.
No, not really.
What about to a Persona fan? Do you think this is a good episode for them?
I guess depends who you're asking, but I think for most people I think they would just feel meh about it. Kind of like it's all right. No, it's like it's all right. As a as like a Persona fan, they can like enjoy the animation, the pretty animation, and stuff, and an early bird cameo from someone who hasn't been given a name yet. They can enjoy. They can like the small details, but not all that much there.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. Dean, what about you? What do you think about this episode for a casual watcher?
As a casual watcher, like in terms of anime, especially for every first episode I see for normal anime, it's like usually you kind of need to watch more than just one episode in order to actually get a full feel for it. That's how I feel as like someone who normally watches anime.
Yeah.
And it took a long while for me to warm up to Persona 4, the anime, because I felt the beginning was rushed. And for Persona 5, I need more in order to actually like feel fully engrossed to it, because I feel that Persona 5, the animation, as a starting point in a lot of its beginning portions, folks are going to be lost because they're going to just start asking questions like, who's this guy? What did he do? Why is he here? Why did this happen? Who's these guys? Why is he being interrogated? There would just be so many questions like in that whole beginning. And yeah, you had those kinds of questions in the game, but in the anime, you kind of had more as a result. It just needs more questions.
Like Cole said, it should have been a two-parter.
Yeah.
And
Which is probably the intention of the second episode, but who knows?
We'll have to see. And now, what about a fan of Persona 5? Like, do you think this is a good episode for them?
It depends on what you really wanted to see, because for me, when I entered this, like speaking as someone who is Persona series, I wanted to see on how well they would adapt this into it, as well as like animation portions and any of the callbacks that they were going to make, because they did call back Persona 4 a couple of times, twice, but still, it was actually rather nice to hear certain names. But there were some animation things that I was personally looking forward to. Like there are things that you're gonna know: the chase sequence and the awakening, and both. It depends on how you feel about either of them. Personally speaking, I wasn't that impressed.
Mm.
But that's just me speaking as like a general fan. I can say that it's entertaining, and it's nice to see like some of this like in animated format because yeah, they were able to tell some more things. But overall, not really the best first impression, honestly.
All right, Cole.
Okay, I'll start with the kind of do I think a non-fan would get into it. And I'll start with this by saying that I actually tested this water with the Persona 4 anime when it first came out. Now, I'm a very, very big Persona fan. When I heard about the Persona 4 anime adaptation, I was excited, and I asked my boyfriend, who's never played a Persona game, if he would be interested in at least watching an episode or two. He actually liked the Persona 4 anime more than I did. He had a genuinely good time with it. He found a lot of areas in it funny that I probably didn't or whatever. And honestly, I think he likes it more than I do. And seeing that actually taught me something very important. When adapting something from like a game to an animation or something, you gotta pick the key. You have to focus on the most important key points, and you have to make it so that way it is easy to follow along. I do not think that the Persona 5 anime does this.
Yeah, it's like as we were saying earlier, there's a lot of questions that were left unanswered, even on a basic sense.
Hmm.
Like the
Like in the Persona 4 anime, sorry,
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
like the Persona 4 anime answers some of the key questions already, like why, and it's kind of weird to be comparing these two simply because Persona 4 seems to usually be like the considered the weakest of them or the black sheep that everyone loves, but that's not the point. The Persona 4 anime answers these questions right away. Why is you out here? Oh, his family's on leave. Why is this happening? The only thing that's not answered is when they've entered the TV world for the first time. But that becomes null and void through either showing us that it's a weird world, but also showing us what happens when we go there. It does enough to capture your interest in order to want you to go into the next episode. The Persona 5 anime, however, it kind of stops on such an abrupt point that it really doesn't invest me in wanting to see what happens next. And because of that, because of that, I'm hesitant to ask my boyfriend if he would want to watch it because I don't think it gives him enough to go off of to want to move on to the next episode.
All right, and what about as a fan? Like, do you think a fan would be able to get into this?
That's going to depend on what the fan is looking for. Unfortunately, I can't answer for everything out there.
That is true. I mean that is true, but I guess we can speak for ourselves as fans what we were looking for in this animation. But yeah, I guess I'll give my thoughts on it. So, is this an episode a general watcher can watch? Absolutely not. This is kind of one of the arguments I made towards, and I know somebody might yell at me for this, the My Little Pony movie. I pretty much talk about how yeah, it is all right for if you're a fan of the of the license, but if you're a non-fan, does it do enough to make you want to watch it on its own terms? Not really. I know I'm comparing a movie to an episode, but bear with me for a minute.
Hmm.
This episode doesn't really make you like for a general fan. I feel like this episode doesn't do enough to make you want to watch it on its own terms. Like it doesn't set itself apart. Like if you were to take away the Persona moniker, does it do enough to, stand on its own two legs? Not really. It's missing a lot of information. A lot of questions have been left unanswered by the end of the first episode, and I feel like more general viewers will be confused by everything that's happening than actually be like, oh, I'm interested to see what happens next. As for a fan of Persona, once again, I feel like this is not really the best episode to show a fan because, as you've said, Cole, it feels like it should have been a two-parter. I feel like this episode in particular should have released both episodes so that way it could have given more information and maybe even answered a few questions, but I feel like a lot of the questions that was left unanswered in the animation which was answered in the game very early on, it probably ain't going to be answered until later in the animation, and that I'm not looking forward to.
Mm.
Like, I feel like again, like, you know how, like, you know, oh, this, like, how he ended up in his probation and yada yada yada, what actually happened, all of that is left a mystery. It's like, I don't know if they're going to answer it next episode or if they're going to wait till a certain portion, like they did to go into more detail in the game, which I'm pretty sure y'all all know what I'm talking about. I just
Yep.
don't want to say it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm afraid they're going to go that route. That's my biggest fear. That they're going to wait until that point, and by then we'll probably be on episode 5 or 6. At that point, it's like too late to get into this kind of information or to give us the basic info. I just really hope that they don't do that. So, for a general fan, no, this is not a good episode. For a fan of Persona, yeah, it depends on you, but I really feel like this is not a good first impression. Not a bad one, but definitely needs to pick it up within the second episode.
As odd as it sounds, this episode went too, but it went so fast. I'm hoping episode 2 slows down a little.
Yeah, same here. So, yeah, there we go. We finished our thoughts on the first episode of Persona 5 the animation. So, I guess, quick thing, last thing we might as well do, and this should be quick. Speculation for the second episode. Like, what are we hoping, like, for the second episode?
Okay, speculation. Obviously, it's gonna be the introduction of Morgana. We know that for a fact.
Yeah, we saw that in the teaser.
They're they're probably you know probably gonna get out of the castle, do the school thing, and probably go back to the castle by the end of the episode.
Yeah, it feels like we probably are going to learn more about this. Like, you know, like we've seen how Kamoshida is in this. We're probably going to learn more about that. We are going to get introduced to the character of Morgana, and yeah, we're probably going to gain some more information. I just hope that we gain some more basic knowledge that they should have given us in the first episode.
Yeah, and we'll probably also get introduced. We'll probably also get introduced to like Mishima as well.
Yeah, some of the later characters. Anyways, Cole.
For what I think is going to happen,
Yeah, any just like quick speculations?
I think, well, what I'm hoping is that I know that they'll definitely words. What is English?
Yeah, it's the language you speak. I think.
I cannot speak of the language that I can only speak, apparently. I think they're going to explore the palace, but we're going to get to the school. And that's actually something that I'm kind of hoping. And this is why I earlier said that I had mixed feelings about Sojiro being a bit more warm towards, I almost called him you. God damn it.
God damn it.
Wrong game.
This is what happens when I decide, okay, I'm going to watch the first episode of the Persona 4 animation just to make sure that my points are valid for the Persona 5 one. I regret everything now.
Yeah.
But, like, something I remember, like, this is actually why I have mixed feelings on Sojiro being more welcoming to Ren, because what I'm hoping that's going to happen is that because this event is going to lead him to being late for school, I'm hoping that Sojiro will crack down on him and start treating him more like he did in the game. I am hoping that that in episode 1, this was giving him the benefit of the doubt, and then him getting harder because he realizes that that was a mistake.
Yeah, I could totally see that. I could totally see that being a thing, honestly, and that would be a nice little inclusion. Dean, what about you? Any speculations you want to add on?
Let's see. I'm expecting a cool fight sequence, probably
Please.
by Ren kicking, or Arsene rather, kicking all the Shadows' ass. Morgana's being introduced. We're gonna get Zoro, and I think by the end of the episode, Ryuji's gonna get his thing.
Yeah, very likely to not. It'll be the case. And as for me, I do like how Cole said what she said, that maybe after the main character ends up in school late, because they do let Sojiro know what happened. And yeah, in the game, while he's not as like aggressive towards you, but he still like lets you know, do you not realize the kind of situation you're in? At least in the later portion. But I would love for them to do that, like, you know, Sojiro cracks down on Ren, like being, oh, like Cole said, oh, maybe I should give him the benefit of the doubt. I was like, nope, that was a mistake. I need to crack down on this kid. And
yeah, like they saved the conversation that was held in like the school, as well as most of the side conversation that Sojiro had with I guess Akira at the time, and actually go down, like actually talk down on him in the next episode. It's possible.
yeah, it very much is. And yeah, I just want to see. I just hope that that they fix some of the problems that this episode gave us, and also add some interesting stuff. Like add some new stuff that wasn't in the game. Like I'm all for that. Just slow down. That's all I ask. Please slow down.
Say please
Slow
oh,
down.
God.
No, take your time.
Exactly.
Yeah, take your time.
Take your time.
But anyways, I think that's going to be the end of this. I think we've given our thoughts and opinions on it. And I guess at this point, I might as well leave everyone off with a question for the viewers. What are your thoughts about the Persona 5 Animation's first episode? Do you agree with any of us? Do you feel like there are some points that we didn't discuss? Go ahead and leave a comment down below, and we'll discuss it in the comment section. So yeah, I might as well say thank you to everyone for joining me. So thank you, Cole, Dean, Zachary. Thanks for coming on to here.
Hey, no problem.
Akira Kurisu is better than Renama Mia.
She said it, not me.
I know, right? Well, she did say it, so
Well, okay. Let me throw my hat into English dub is better
Oh, God.
than the Japanese dub.
Hold up, something just went off.
Oh no, the Phantom Thieves found me.
I know, right?
Okay, so we're all set.
I think we are all set. I'm just trying to remember. Does anyone know what the next episode's going to be called?
I believe they gave us the episode name at the very end of the credits.
Yeah, it's called Next. Let's talk back. Oh, wow. Oh, I can't read it. I'll have to read it later. But anyways, you know what? I'm just going to leave it as is. And also, the audio fucked up at one point, so I'm going to have to cut that out. But anyways, guys, thank you. And thank you, everyone, for coming to the podcast. I'm Keenan 47, aka Wolfkeen, along with
My family team.
DM Mikami says DM Phone 3000.
And this is FlOrangey. See you on AO3.
and we'll see you all for episode 2 of the Persona 5 animation. Till next time, take care.
English dub is better than Japanese dub.
Go home.
Hey, I did that already.